What's up, guys? I know I've been out of touch for a little bit. I've been very busy over the past week or so, traveling to Austin to compete at my meet, the Pioneer Open, which went about as I expected. A little bit disappointed on bench. I'll talk briefly about the meet. I had set limits myself of a 300 kilo squat and deadlift, and I was gonna, try for a 500 bench. Hopefully, it was there. I decided to stop at 290 on squat, moved exactly how I wanted to. I know I can squat 300 in sleeves. There was no point in doing that. So stop there. Quad is 100%, so that was a win. On bench, I knew warming up, 500 was going to be there. I was hoping for 484. I got red lit on my second attempt for my butt coming up. I do think probably my hips moved. I didn't feel my butt come up. Obviously, you can't see your own butt while you're benching. But it is what it is. I had to retake 463 in my second, and that moved exactly how I'd hoped it would move. So I do think 484 would have been there. And then on deadlift, still hadn't ironed out the grip issue, so I had to pull sumo at the last moment. I think the issue with my grip is that now that I'm larger, I have to pull around my knees. The bar spins away from me. That's very difficult to hold on to. With sumo, the bar path, I'm able to maintain a straight bar path, much easier to hold on to, just didn't have enough practice. So missed my second attempt on grip, got in the right position on the third. It was no problem at all. Moved exactly how I'd hoped 290 would move. So the meet was obviously not my best by any means, but all things considered, I'm very happy I competed because I learned a lot. And that's what I want to talk about today. Is the biggest thing I learned is that, and I feel a little silly about this, but I forgot how much different competition lifting is compared to gym lifting. In the gym, you can get away with these very minor things that you can't in competition. And I'll admit I was probably a little overconfident and thought that because I had competed so much before, I wouldn't need as much practice as I actually did. For example, things I'm talking about on the bench, holding the bar until you get the start command. Really, it was surprising how much energy I expended doing that. How long the pauses were. On deadlift, timing your rest between attempts because deadlift tends to move pretty fast. All those things got in my head a little bit. I don't think they necessarily detracted from my performance, but had I been at my best, I'm sure they would have. So that's definitely something I've learned. And what I'm going to do with that is incorporate more lower percentage work into my off season so that I can practice perfection, essentially. This will also give me more room to include hypertrophy work in my training because I won't be as fatigued from the strength work. All throughout my prep, I was doing very high effort, high intensity, low volume strength work, and obviously that's very draining. So the fact that I'll be kind of reversing that, doing more volume with lower intensity and moderate to lower effort, I think that will allow me to include more overall volume in my programming, which will allow me to gain the size that I need to compete at the highest levels. And that was the second takeaway. I'm not big enough to total 2,300. I'm not big enough to compete as a pro. So the goal for this next year is going to be adding another 15 to 20 pounds of tissue so that I can total what I need to total so that I can compete as a pro bodybuilder. And obviously that's going to be pretty difficult. So the question is how I'm going to do it. Obviously, diet is going to be the biggest issue. For me, it is very difficult to put down as much food as I need to grow, and that's just a matter of willpower, so I know I can do that. From the training side, I'm going to be trying two new things. So the first new thing I'm going to be trying is decreasing my twice per day training. The reason for that, two reasons for that. One is that most top bodybuilders train once a day. The second is training twice a day expends more energy. You have to eat more, and so I want to play things in my favor by training just once a day, even though that's going to be difficult. Now, difficult mentally, right? Now, if it doesn't work, obviously I'm going to go back to the twice a day training that was so productive this last off season, but I do think that I have the time to experiment and I want to find how it works for my body. The second thing I already mentioned was the lower intensity but higher volume strength work. And that will be, I'll say in the John Meadows style of training. So, the variations I'll be using are bench press with chains, a pin squat, a tempo pin squat, actually really trying to explode in the eccentric, but very slow, controlled decentric, explosive concentric, very slow and controlled eccentric. Sorry, I'm tired. Been a long travel week. And then I'll be using a wide grip stiff-legged deadlift versus bands. That'll just be high volume to build the hamstrings in the back. Really be a beast, but I'm excited about that. I'll also be incorporating more traditional bodybuilding work. Isolation movements I didn't use much before. Things like flies, more lateral raises, getting into different varieties of rows and pull downs, lots more quad work because I really have been very low volume on that. I think I can add size to all those areas, maybe not my back, but definitely to my legs, definitely to my quads, definitely to my chest, shoulders, and triceps, and hopefully biceps as well. So I'm very excited about all that. Now, I know you guys love to see the details. So what I'm doing is I already have that free 8-week power building program on my website. I'm going to add to that the off-season plan that I am using for myself. I do not suggest that you follow this word for word, but I'm sure you'll like to see it, and I do think you can modify it to fit your own individual needs. This is just in a Word document. I haven't planned things out in an Excel spreadsheet for the off-season just yet. I think I'll need a few weeks to see how my numbers unfold before I'm at the point where I'm ready to do that. And when I will upload that spreadsheet as well. But you can definitely see I've written in pretty good detail my plan, and I think you'll enjoy it. It's a push, pull, legs, arm split, 4 days on, 1 day off, but obviously you can insert rest days as needed. And I'm using most of the principles from reactive training, right? So things like myo reps, things like repeat sets based on RPE, things like density training, maybe even some oxidative work, which is a new thing that Mike Teixeira's working on with his clientele. So I do suggest you check that out. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And as always, I appreciate your guys' support. I have some cool announcements, some cool things that I'll be working on in the future. And I appreciate you guys watching and hanging around for it all. So until next time, think strong, train hard.